let's get on to South Africa, where the JSE market has held a forum for its quoted companies on the critical role that the corporate affairs play in the leadership of the institutions on the market. Let's hear from some of these speakers.
My view on corporate affairs is that it's one of the most dynamic roles that you can play in an organization. It is dynamic because it's very strategic, and at its best, it's a holistic role that you play. It's about, leading, as Ralph was saying, you sit at the highest level of the organization, and it's an intersection between the internal organization as well as your context, or the organizational context. So for me, it requires senior leadership and business skills. And it's also a reflection of the context, like I said, both the external and the internal context that you live in. And it's a dynamic role, and it's constantly moving and evolving with the nation state agenda, with your own corporate agenda. And if it's a multinational, then also there's a global agenda to deal with. And to some extent, if you're a multinational, you are also a follow source. Some decisions are not made by you, and you have to align with that. So you have to lead and be able to work at a multiplicity of levels. And then it's also about relationship building and maintaining relations, but not just for the sake of relations, with a purpose to make sure that your organizational and corporate goals are achieved, all right, in alignment with the context that you're in. It's also very much about managing risk, in my view, making sure you secure the license of your corporation to operate, and you make sure that the business can operate, in sometimes very risky situations. And most importantly, it is about managing the risk and the present day to secure the operations today, but it also has to be anticipatory in stance. So you have to be able to look around corners to see things before they come, understand what do they call it? The quiet signals before they become loud noise, and prepare your organization accordingly. It also has to be very much a two-way street, because you have to listen to what's happening, prepare the organization, and where possible, align your own organizational response and policies with what's happening outside, so that there's a dynamic interplay where both your organization wins as well as, the context in which you are. So you cannot do that without being able to learn constantly. You have to continuously learn, relearn, and unlearn.
It comes down to, you have to be curious. You have to be interested in what's going on around you. You have to be awake and aware. You have to pick up things. Everyone else in a company, every government department has a piece of legislation they must enact. Everyone else in a company has a specific role they have to fulfill: finance, procurement, whatever. We are the only role that walks across everything. We have a wide mandate. We have no boundaries. We go where we think it's important to go. And for my time at SAPI, no year has ever been the same. I've had different CEOs to onboard. We've had global expansions, contractions. We've had changes in markets and stuff. You have to be constantly curious. And then the other one, and it's interesting, if you look at your global headhunters, they have a practice for corporate affairs. And they will tell you, that in the last 10 years, the role globally that has changed the most is corporate affairs director. And what they tell you is it has changed from purely risk management to delivering value. The understanding today is, if we don't do our jobs properly, the company cannot deliver its business strategy. And I think, to the point that a lot of people go into communications or stakeholder relations because they don't want to do business. They don't want to do the numbers, and they don't want to understand that. And that's exactly the opposite of what you need today. You need someone who understands the business and who can actually identify, what are we trying to deliver with our strategy? and what are all the little levers, and they change from time to time. But that's where sitting at the table, not just sitting at the table when the strategy is developed, crafting the language of the strategy so that the key words are in there. We built trust into our strategy as a public because we understood how important that was. So as the corporate affairs lead, you help the company, you're at the top table, you help the team when they craft the business strategy, you help craft the purpose, the values, all of that. When you write the business strategy, you make sure that those triggers, because if it's written in the strategy, everyone else in the company will say, oh, it's there. We have to work on delivering trust or enhancing trust. How do we do that? Then it goes to the HR team, it goes to the sustainability team. I think the other thing for us is sometimes we are where it starts. So when sustainability was just a little word, who did sustainability? The corporate affairs team. When it became bigger, we then handed it over to the sustainability experts. And so it happens with a lot of other topics.
The response or the posture in which corporate affairs should be looking at the issues should not be short-term. Because businesses are there for many years. And most of the businesses that we're working for today, they're going to outlive all of us. And so when we're thinking about our roles and our responsibilities, we should go beyond the present. So let's talk about profits. Profit depends on your time horizon. Are you looking at profits over the next 3 years? Or are we looking at the profits over the next 10 or 20 years? Depending on your outlook and your attitude, it will then create a sensible intersection of purpose and profits. It's also clear that the way in which we reshape and recalibrate policies is not going to happen overnight. And we need to be able to demonstrate our contribution in the shaping of policies. The second part to that is this internal leadership that I was talking about. Corporate affairs need to bring in the rest of the executives within the organization to understand the purpose, to understand profits, not on a 2 or 3 year basis, to say what are some of those things that we need to put in place to ensure that we put our business in a sustainable profit trajectory. And that is not a short-term endeavor.